Welcome to the Airgun Show. This week I'm taking a look at another brilliant affordable scope from Richter Optik. But first up, we join Richard Saunders as he sets up for a session on grey squirrels.
Now I'm out after grey squirrels today. As you can see, I'm in the woods and the trees here are growing for their lumber value, and by stripping bark off the trees the squirrels are killing the trees, killing limbs on the trees and generally scarring the wood. Now quite aside from that, they also have a devastating impact on the indigenous wildlife here, not only by predating on songbird eggs and chicks, but also because they can eat food before it's ripe, nuts and berries and fruit and what have you. They're denying that food to indigenous species that rely on it when it's ripe, when they come out of hibernation. Now, so I don't cause any more disturbance, I'm going to talk through the gear before I get to the hide. Now the rifle is a Day-State Huntsman Revere. It's the new side lever rifle. 13 shot magazine. This is a 177 12 foot-pound rifle. Now a lot of people talk about using 2.2s only on squirrels, and I shoot lots of squirrels with 2.2 rifles as well, but I have to say it really doesn't matter what caliber you use as long as the rifle is accurate, and this one is really accurate. Put squirrels down very humanely. Now on top of that, I've got an MTC scope. It's a 3 to 10 by 40 scope, and that is held on with some sports match scope mounts as ever. And then the only other piece of kit to mention is that I'm using a side shot phone cradle, which enables me to put my phone on the side of the gun but look through the scope as normal, and hopefully take some footage of shots as I take them.
Richard is certainly kitted out for the job and to capture the action. Today's success now hinges on the squirrels and whether or not they decide to play ball.
I'm going to be shooting a relatively new peanut feeder today, and I haven't had a chance to set up a permanent hide, so I'm just going to set up a simple camouflage screen net and sit behind that.
This is a very basic hide, but Richard is setting up quickly in order to keep any disturbance to an absolute minimum.
Right, well I've got myself tucked in now into a good little spot. Got plenty of cover behind me, and I've cut a couple of holes in the camo net for the rifle to go through. Now the thing is that there's an awful lot of natural food in these woods. Earlier in the year, walnuts, hazelnuts, acorns, beech mast and what have you, and the squirrels have got plenty to keep them occupied. But now we're into winter, all of that natural food is pretty much gone now, so Peanuts is pretty much the only restaurant open in town. So I'm hoping that we're going to get quite a few come to the feeder. I expect that there'll be a few squirrels scrabbling around on the ground looking for stuff that they buried earlier in the year, but once they get onto the peanuts there really is no stopping them.
Just to prove that a simple hide really is all you need when the squirrels are distracted by peanuts, a bushy tail makes a very confident arrival at the feeder.
Well, that's the first one in the bag. I'm going to leave the squirrels on the floor unless they die and they lay in the feed tray itself. It doesn't seem to really put the other squirrels off to see dead ones on the floor. So rather than going and disturbing the feeder, I'll just leave them where they lie.
It's not long before Richard is back in action, and this time it's a fidgety squirrel foraging on the deck.
Well, that one was foraging around on the floor. I suspect he was probably looking for I don't know, an acorn or something that he buried earlier in the year, and I didn't think he was going to go up onto the feeder, so I took the shot while he was on the floor, and obviously didn't hit him hard, but didn't finish him off. So I had to take a quick follow-up shot just to finish him off. There's one in the tree just behind the feeder. I'm hoping he's going to come down and settle down so I can get a shot. He's on the feeder now. Well, you know what, I've had enough now. I've been here for quite a few hours, sat on the ground, it's getting uncomfortable, back is starting to ache. I've not seen anything for the last hour either, so I think the squirrels have wised up. There's plenty more here to shoot, and I will be back again, but managed to put a little bit of a dent in them. So I'm going to go and pick those ones up now. And I've got another pest control job, shooting some rabbits at a farm down the road later on this evening. So perhaps we'll show that footage in a future episode. Thanks for watching.
Richard Saunders pressing on with his crackdown on grey squirrels there. Next up, I'm taking a look at a scope that proves you don't have to spend a fortune to get yourself a decent optic. Richter Optik scopes, distributed in the UK by John Rothery Wholesale, have a reputation for producing decent optics for sensible prices. This is the 4 to 16 by 40 AOE model, and retailing for just £74.95, it certainly lives up to the Richter reputation for value. Let's see what you get for your money. I would describe this as a fairly large scope. It's 38.5 centimetres long, but tipping the scales at just under 600 grams, it's not outrageously heavy. Now, it feels to be very solidly constructed. The body is made from a high strength alloy that's actually had an anti-corrosion coating applied. It's fog proof to stop it from steaming up in the rain, and it's also shock proof, so it shouldn't be harmed by the recoil of a spring or gas ram airgun. Starting at the back, you've got the ocular focusing ring, which you only need to adjust once to get the reticle pin sharp for your eye. Now, the reticle is nice and fine, and it features mil-dot type aiming points, so you can apply aim off to compensate for the effect of gravity and wind on the pellet as it travels downrange. On the top of the eye bell is a dial that controls the illuminated reticle. You turn it to switch it on, and there are 11 different levels of brightness. Now, having that red illuminated reticle is really handy in low light conditions, or when you need to give those aim points just a bit more contrast against a dark target. The zoom dial is positioned just in front of the eye bell, and I think the zoom range of 4 to 16 times is just about perfect for general airgun shooting. To zoom it right down to sort of 4 or 5 times, you've got better light transmission and a wider field of view, which is brilliant for things like ratting at close range when you need quick target acquisition. Wind it right up to 14, 15 or even 16 times, and you've got that extra magnification for precision work off of a bipod. Now, the zoom ring is nice and grippy, and it turns really smoothly. This scope has a 25mm tube, and halfway along that sits the windage and elevation turrets. Now, they are fairly high, but I don't think they're going to get in the way of any scope mounted lamp or night vision add-ons. Now, if you unscrew the caps, you have access to the finger adjustable dials. Now, they turn very smoothly with clear positive stops, and each click amounts to 1/8 of an inch's adjustment at 100 yards. That enables you to adjust the point of aim by small, precise increments. Moving on to the front of the scope, and there's a collar around the objective lens which serves as the parallax adjustment dial. Now, just like the zoom dial, it's nice and grippy and turns really smoothly. It's stated as focusing from 20 yards out to infinity, but as long as you've got the scope set on lower magnification, the image is perfectly sharp at around 12 meters once you've got that parallax wound down as low as it will go. The objective lens is 40mm, and although that's not exactly huge by today's standards, it lets through sufficient light to produce a pretty bright sight picture in most light conditions. Now, a coating has been applied to the lens to enhance light transmission, and I have to say the image quality is actually pretty good for a scope of this price point. In terms of what I would use this scope for, I reckon it should be a pretty good all-rounder. Now, you wouldn't use it for high-level competition, but that's not what it pretends to be. Couple it with a PCP or a Springer and it should be good for general pest control, backyard plinking and target shooting on the club range. So, that's the Richter Optik 4 to 16 by 40 AOE. Extras that come supplied include a spare battery for the illuminated reticle and a set of push-on, flip-up lens covers. Now, not everybody wants or needs to spend a fortune on a telescopic sight. This one proves that you can still get something pretty good without having to break the bank.
Don't miss the award-winning Airgun Shooter magazine. It's packed with hunting features, reviews, tactics and insight to help you become an even more successful shooter. Get your copy today in shops or online.
That's all we've got time for this week, but as ever, we'll be back again in a fortnight. Thank you for watching and please don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you aren't already a member of the BASC, it's time you joined the organisation that works to promote and protect your sport.